All right, 5C is a bit of a gotcha question. So it says, last Monday, each ferry carried at least 5 tourists. What was the greatest possible number of tourists on Blue Island at 11:30? We've done problems like this a bunch. Shouldn't be too bad, but there is definitely a possible. It's definitely possible to be tricked, as I was. But I'm not saying that I was tricked at all. So, what was the greatest possible number of tourists? Now I know, based on what we did in part A, that there before 11:30 there's 1, 2, 3, 4 trips, and since the trip only takes 25 minutes, this 11 o'clock trip is going to be there by 11:30. So that means there's 4 full loads of people that made it to the island. So that's 4 times 30 equals 120. However, there is a boat that left Blue Island at 11 o'clock rather, based on the rules that we talked about over here. So the ferries leave Blue Island in conjunction with the ferry leaving the island at 11. Each ferry carried at least 5 tourists, which means we have to subtract 5 away from the total that could be there, which puts us at 115 people. Right, that's the first component. The second one, they love doing this. What's the most? What's the least? So what was the least number of tourists on Blue Island at 11:30? So it's the same thing. We still have our 4 trips that made it there, times the minimum, because we're trying to find the least number. The minimum of 5 is 20. So that means there could be 20 people at the island, or rather, it's better to think of it as 20 people made it to the island by 11:30. Now the question is, how many were able to leave? So if we go back and look at our chart here, or list rather, so the ferry left Blue Island at 11 carrying a minimum of 5, but we're trying to maximize that. So the question is, how many were there by 11 to be able to take this ferry, which is 1, 2, 3. So what that means is there were 3 trips times 5, which is 15. So that means 15 people were on the island by the time the ferry left the island to go back to the mainland, which means the 5 people that came over on this 11 o'clock trip were the only 5 people still left on the island. So 20 is the total number of people that made it to the island overall. 15 is the number of people that were at the island by the time the ferry left Blue Island in the first place. So we're going to subtract those values and we're left with 5 people. So the minimum possible is 5 people on the island by 11:30.